One. 4 days of severe storms have brought devastation to so many communities across our Commonwealth. We've had search and rescue teams working around the clock to support these communities, and I want to thank them for their incredible work. What we have seen is rescue after rescue after rescue that have turned what could be a very deadly event into one where sadly we've lost two individuals, but again, it could have been so much worse. So to all the rescue teams from here in the Commonwealth or from other states that have come to aid us, thank you for helping our people. Thanks for answering the call once again. First, we do have more tough news that was shared on Saturday when we learned we'd lost a second Kentuckian. A woman in Nelson County died due to floodwaters. That follows the tragic death of a child here in Frankfort, also due to floodwaters. And today we can report that we have a missing person in McCracken County that there is an ongoing search for that we're very worried about. So we ask for everybody's prayers in that search. Remember, these are all children of God missed by their families and their friends. Please join Brittany and I in praying for these families. And before I proceed to any other part of the update, I just want to stress that we do not want to lose another individual. And whether or not we do is going to mainly depend on the decisions that people make here until the event is over. Remember, this event is not over until the waters have receded, until the areas that have flooded are fully dry, until we don't have saturated ground that could create mudslides over roads and bridges. And so I'm asking everybody, just be careful. We're now just looking probably at a period of days, maybe the rest of this week. But remember, if those waters are receding, it is still dangerous to drive your car through them. In February storms, when we lost 24 Kentuckians, many of those could have been avoided. So to everybody out there, remember, being there tomorrow, being there next week with your family is a lot more important than trying to get to where you're going. Do not drive through water. Do not move barricades, because remember, if you do that, you're not just making a bad decision for yourself. You could cause the harm or even death to that next person that comes along. So we're pleading, and you're going to hear from everybody else who's up here. Don't drive through water. If you're told to evacuate, evacuate. We're not looking, again, at weeks here. We're just looking at days, and we want everybody to be safe. Remember, several rivers and creeks remain at or above the flood stage, and roadways remain underwater in several areas. Remember, floodwaters can hide sharp, dangerous hazards. They can be contaminated with oil, gasoline, or sewage. The cleanup can be just as dangerous as the flood, so remember to make sure that you are careful in cleaning up and make sure you have the right gear for that work. Latest weather, although we've seen the last of the major storms, the National Weather Service has told us that tonight is going to be problematic. This is going to be a dangerous night where temperatures fall, where it gets potentially below freezing. So if you're somewhere that's very wet, if you're trying to ride this out in a home that's had water tonight, could raise concerns of hypothermia. So again, find a safe place to go. We have plenty of shelters. You can call a family member or a friend. If it's going to get down to the 20s, we need you to be dry and warm tonight so that you can work on digging out and mucking out tomorrow. One good update to share, and you'll hear it especially from the mayor and the county judge of Frankfort and Franklin County, as it looks like the water level is not going to get as high here in Frankfort as previously thought. Right now, it looks like the levees are holding, and it looks like the water is receding faster than originally thought. Now remember, the cresting is going to take longer as we go down river, but that's at least some good news. That doesn't mean that Frankfort and Franklin County are out of the woods. In fact, we need to make sure we continue to conserve water, especially today, to try to give the plant board time to get their pumps up and running, so that hopefully we can have safe, reliable water coming through Frankfort. So remember, if you got teenagers, try to limit it only to one shower. Or if your teenager's in the no shower phase, this is their time. They will be the heroes. But we really do need that conservation, especially through today and either the mayor or the judge will talk about different points you'll be able to come and get bottled water in Frankfort and Franklin County, and we'll be working with other communities that request and that need that. Updates as of now, we've got 1,788 connections without power across the Commonwealth. Really haven't lost power in huge ways during this event. It's kind of how the event unfolded, but also our utilities are doing a really good job. Folks without water across the Commonwealth, the information may be a little dated, but only 1,131 without water at all. But remember, especially in Franklin County, about 100,000 people pulling off this water system. Whether or not that holds is going to depend on conservation today. 2,847 under boiled water advisory. We got 5 parts of systems not operational, 15 under limited operations. Really, our water utilities have done a really good job throughout all this. They're working really hard to get everything up and running as fast as possible. Like we said earlier, 2 fatalities, though that's too many. But let's be really careful in the coming days. That also would have been much higher, but for swift water teams being utilized all across the state. You may remember the addition of USAR teams has been brought to this EOC. It has helped significantly. I got to see it in the flooding in February, and we've only gotten better since then. And our goal in this emergency operations center is to get better every single time. Better in the emergency response, better in the temporary sheltering, better in the medium housing, better in the rebuilding, just better all around. Because if we can be there for our people in their time of need, and we can bring it every single time and do something a little bit more and a little bit more, then we'll stabilize our families that much faster. As we look at sheltering, we got about 52 shelters that are currently open. We have 45 households sheltering in state parks, 10 in hotels, 79 in temporary housing units. United Way has come through big for us. They have 27 households in non-congregate sheltering. That's got 18 individuals in 15 counties. They're bringing a new way to approach some of this with Airbnb and others, and that's a great addition. American Red Cross, always here with us in the EOC, and grateful for their work. They got 15 shelters right now with 139 individuals in 12 counties. There's a call center if you need help, 502-607-6665. Kentucky National Guard, I just got a newest update, but from these numbers here, 354 soldiers and airmen are mobilized to conduct missions with our emergency management partners. They are around the state. They're doing everything from rescues with water rescues, as well as the high axle vehicles where if people are stranded, they can go in to get them. I think there's a new mission that was launched just about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Grateful for their service, and they are spread out throughout the state. One of the incredible parts of our Guard is that we have Guardsmen and women all over Kentucky ready to answer the call in their communities. Remember, these are our neighbors that answer the call, that take off the uniform of whatever their regular profession is. They put on that Guard uniform, and they come out and help and protect us. Remember, whether it's Guard, transportation crew, or otherwise, when you're passing them, give them a wide berth. Those are Kentuckians. They're putting their lives in danger. Make sure that you look out for their safety like they're looking out for ours. Kentucky State Police has been really busy. Our telecommunicators have answered 15,770 calls. Troopers continue to assist local law enforcement and first responders. If you need assistance about being evacuated, if you are in an emergency situation, please call 911. If it's not an emergency situation, you can call your local post or other numbers. To ensure safety and security in the areas where Kentuckians have been evacuated, troopers are providing extra night patrols. And I know between KSP, the Guard, and so many others, we've even gone house to house in some of the areas that looked like they were going to be flooded. So these are, again, Kentuckians and those that have come in to help, knocking on individual doors, looking out for our families. KSP again confirmed that we have one report of a missing person in McCracken County who was last seen boating in flooded waters. To report a loved one, please contact the Kentucky State Police post in your area. Roads and bridges, we're going to hear from Secretary Gray in a minute, but about 538 state roadways are closed. More than half of those are in Western Kentucky, which got more water than certainly I have ever seen it in Western Kentucky. My dad's hometown of Dawson Springs got hit again. Somehow getting hit by our worst tornado, flooding in just about every difficult weather pattern. To the folks in Dawson Springs, we love you. We'll be there for you. We will continue to rebuild. Nothing's going to stop us from making sure that we preserve your hometown and an amazing town here in the Commonwealth. Major routes remain blocked by flooding. A couple pieces of good news. The Western Kentucky Parkway is no longer closed in Ohio County, and I-65 at mile marker 64, I think that's in LaRue County, is now back open. But once again, if there are barricades, it means it's not safe. If there is water over the roadway, it means it is not safe. The number one thing that you can do to help us get through the rest of this natural disaster is to turn around and to not go through that water. You can check goky.ky.gov to keep up with state highways. As we look at our state parks, I want to thank especially General Butler State Park. That's our main state park that is sheltering people right now. I think they sheltered people after some tornadoes about a year ago as well. To all the staff that's there, thank you for always being there for our people in their time of need. Today, we also closed our state office buildings, both because of concern about people traveling in and out and also to conserve water here in Frankfort and Franklin County. We'll make a call on that this morning to, again, we'll make the best decision that we can for not only this community, but the 11,000 plus Kentuckians that travel to Frankfort to work every day. There are Kentucky families. They're a big part of Team Kentucky, and I want to make sure that they are safe. So once again, thank you to everybody who is out there and to those that are looking for a way to help. The Team Kentucky Storm Relief Fund is open. That's now a fund that we're going to use for ongoing emergencies and natural disasters. It's been helping in the flooding we saw in the East in February. So if you're out there looking at this county or others that have been hit harder than we've seen, I guess, since I was 1 year old, since 1978, you can give to the Team Kentucky Storm Relief Fund. Every dollar goes to help families, fully transparent, subject to every open record. This is the fund where we can maximize your donation to help people, and where we always start is paying for those funerals so that folks going through the worst of the worst know that we're with them, we'll grieve with them, and they don't have to wait for any type of reimbursement during such a hard time. I'm going to turn it over to the mayor, who's going to turn it over to the county judge. We'll then turn it over to Director Gibson. Then we'll hear from Secretary Gray, and we'll come back and take questions. Mayor.
Thank you, Governor. And thank you, Governor. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, Director Gibson, Director Slinker, everyone here at Kentucky Emergency Management. Your support over the last few days has been critical as we get through this latest weather event. Overnight here in the city of Frankfort, the river did crest at just shy of the record set in 1978. And while not a record, this is still a dangerous flood, and we're continuing to monitor the situation. We didn't have any major incidents overnight. We evacuated, or not a mandatory evacuation, but we strongly encouraged those who were going to be in the affected areas to consider evacuating if they could take advantage of another opportunity to get to higher ground to do so. We have 3 shelters that are open now. We've only had to house less than 50 families so far, including their pets, but we do have capacity for a couple hundred more. So we encourage all those in the city of Frankfort, if you need any type of non-emergency help, to call our hotline. It's 352-2252. We have people standing by to answer any questions, to make sure you get to the right area, and we'll make sure that you're taken care of. Want to make sure that people don't get overconfident just because the water is receding some. It's still very dangerous, particularly around the edges. So I want to make sure that now that the daylight's here again, we're going to have a lot of people probably coming downtown to look at the river. Please don't get too close to the edge. Keep in mind that we do have road crews, utility crews, emergency responders still out and about. People may still be moving from their homes or trying to clean up. Keep that in mind and limit any travel downtown if possible. A lot of businesses are closed, governments are closed. There should be really no reason to go downtown right now. We're looking at also, last night we set a curfew. We made an executive decision to have a curfew from dusk till dawn. We're going to do so again tonight in the interest of public safety, protecting private property, and also just allowing our crews to operate efficiently. And I know that's going to be an inconvenience for some of you in Frankfort. I understand that, and we do appreciate your patience, your understanding during this event, but we're going to get through this in a matter of days. Just stay vigilant, stay cautious. We don't want to lose any more of our community members to this water, and just ask that everybody continue to cooperate, show some kindness, compassion to everyone else. We're going to get through this one stronger than ever. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Franklin County Judge Executive Michael Mueller.
Thank you, Mayor. Judge Executive of Franklin County, Michael Mueller. First and foremost, I want to thank the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Emergency Management, and everybody in this room. I wish the public could see what you all are doing. It's a huge, huge service that I don't think people understand. So in Franklin County, this is the first one we've been through. You know, the governor always talks about Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, the tornadoes, the floods. We've been sheltered from that. And so this is uncharted territories. You know, it's kind of one of those things when you run for office, you don't think about national disasters. You know, it's like, what do you do? What do you do? But I'm appreciative to have a governor and Team Kentucky that steps up and helps our local emergency management to figure out what to do. So it's been very, very helpful. I do want to let everybody know, so everyone's in a stage now that, hey, sun's shining, you know, things are good, the river's going down, we have no problems. This is when problems happen, like the governor spoke of. This is when people driving around the barricades, they want to get the selfies, they want to get the pictures. That's when people get hurt. And so we can't emphasize enough to stay at home, you know, help your neighbors. Don't be out if you don't have to be out. You know, we're getting a lot of calls for people wanting to volunteer, people wanting to send donations. So I was just talking to the emergency management director here. We will have our first site open at 1 o'clock today at Lakeview Park in Franklin County. We've been unloading semis of water, some food, things like that. So I'm very appreciative of National Guards helping out. They helped out a lot yesterday, knocking on doors, making sure that people in the areas had to evacuate. So can't thank them enough. I know the donations, we've had a lot of people reach out from other states saying, how do we help your community? How do we help? So we'll be getting that information out on the state's information and our local information. Again, can't stress enough, don't drive around, don't be out if you don't have to. We're not out of the woods yet. You know, people think just because we're crested, we're out of the woods, but there's still, you know, until we get to about 29 feet in Franklin County, we're not going to take a breath. So as the mayor and I were leaving today, they had probably 40 people in our emergency command center being briefed about what happens next. How do we get help to these people? How do we start rebuilding our community? You know, I mean, we probably have at least 50 homes, you know, that are potentially destroyed. So, you know, what happened was the river kept coming up. You know, we went to bed one night, they said it was at 45 feet. You wake up the next day, and, oh no, now it's 47. Now it's 49 and a half. And that's when it really got real. So people moved their things to the second level. And then by the time they woke up at 5:30 in the morning, it was too late. So they had to get out. We had a lot of boat rescues. I think there was 15 people that had to be rescued in Franklin County by boat. So I just want to stay safe. I want to thank Team Kentucky again for all the support. And you all keep doing the good work that you're doing. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. And we join you again from the Emergency Operations Center. It seems a little bit way too often for these events to keep occurring, but here we are again in the same situation as we see the widespread damage from across the state. And you're hearing from the reports here from Frankfort, from our county judge executives and our mayors. And we're hearing those same reports that these gentlemen are sharing with you from across the state. This is a very widespread event. We knew that it was going to be that way. And I want to say that the messaging that was sent out from the communications team here and throughout the media outlets that we shared with for many days before this event happened probably has been very impactful to saving many Kentuckians. People had a chance to be warned that it was a good idea to identify a place to go, to get some things out of the way, to make a plan. And all the things that we messaged 5 days in advance, I think has led to a more successful operation this time. Less fatalities. There's plenty of destruction. There's plenty of homes inundated. There's been plenty of damage from this storm. However, you see that the fatalities are a little lower, and that's something to celebrate. The fact that people have listened to that and have taken that heed to those warnings. I think that the messaging and the team that provides that messaging through our communications team and working through all the media outlets has been successful. Now, it's very tragic. We've already lost 2, and we have another person that we're looking for, as the governor reported. So there are still tragedies in this, and I don't make light of those. They're very tragic. However, it is good that the messaging was effective. So we continue to do those things, and we provide these updates for that piece. We've hit crest here at Frankfort, but there is still downrange of that up the river. We're going to deal with water still coming to rise over at Lockport, which is above Carrollton, and we're looking at that happening overnight tonight. So as we still have friends and Kentuckians downstream of this area here in Frankfort that still need to be paying attention. They have not hit crest yet. Yesterday, there were talks of 57 in the models. It looks like it's a little lower than that this morning. I'm seeing like 53.8. Those river models change as the flow and the gauges give us new information. We're always trying to keep up with the most accurate information, and those are public-facing websites if anyone wants to see any of that. What I would tell you is we're very busy at the EOC, as you would expect us to be, helping your local heroes. You have a communities full of people that are working very hard on your behalf, and our job here is to support them, and we report on that all the time. All of your local officials are in direct connection with my emergency manager, area managers, and along with this EOC. So that's the way we want it to work, and we try to get better and better each time we go through one of these tragic events. And I think that while there'll never be good enough, we're always going to try to be better. We're quicker at getting those water resources out to you when you need them, the commodities that you need to sustain your communities. Our sheltering operations began very early on with the Red Cross and the Commonwealth Sheltering Program that we run out of emergency operations. But we've got our FEMA partners in very early. They're very helpful by getting those urban search and rescue teams in and around the state. We positioned them as widespread as we possibly could, putting teams where we thought those areas of concern would be, and we saw that to be very helpful. Getting an emergency declaration that quick is unprecedented. We were able to do that 2 times in a row to use those federal urban search and rescue teams in the Commonwealth, along with partners from other states. And when you look at who comes to help, it's the same people that we go help. And it's neighbors helping neighbors and states helping states. And so many of our local teams have moved around the state. Lexington sent teams out, Louisville sent teams out, Bowling Green. Everybody's been very helpful, and there's so many I couldn't begin to mention them all. I heard Russell County was over in Gary County. So being in this role, I cannot even begin to thank all the people across the Commonwealth that have come to the aid of other communities that are really suffering during this event. And I look through the notes that my staff write up, and I just read over them, and it's almost more than you can even mention in a short press conference as we try to share what's going on. But what I want you to know is the state has water and bottled water available for distribution to the counties that are without water. We have MREs, we have emergency food supplies. So we're not in a position where we can't help support that. The National Guard is quick to come to the rescue to provide that relief effort by those distribution centers in those local communities. So while this is a bad situation and many people have had lots of damages, I've heard reports of counties with 100 homes here, 50 homes there, 200 homes over here. And that work has to be done to put that back together again. We see that work is there. We truly know that the work that you all have done as local leaders in your communities, as media representatives spreading this message, we're all on the same team. We're trying to save people's lives. We're trying to sustain that operation in those communities where people are not so impacted that they can't survive. And I think we've done a decent job of that. While there is still room for improvement, this team is exceptional. And I can't say enough about the 100 or so people that are surrounding us right now. We're partnered up with people from Red Cross. We have KU officials. We have FEMA officials. We have all kinds of people here from many agencies across state government that have all come together to one place to serve the Commonwealth of Kentucky and support the local officials where you need us to be at. And I can't say enough about that, and it's time to say thank you. So very much. Thank you very much.
Jim Gray, Transportation Secretary. I'm going to shrink wrap my comments because the governor needs to get to these questions quickly. But let me first give a shout out to our Transportation Cabinet employees who are still on duty, of course. Let me put this in a little bit of context. There are, as of 8 o'clock this morning, the governor mentioned it, there are 538 roads, state roads, still underwater or closed. That compares to just a little over a month ago in February in that event, where our peak was 350 roads closed. So at our peak in this event, more than 550, so more than 200 more. That gives the context for where we are. So we're still not out of the woods yet. The message, turn around, don't drown. We've had reports of, modest reports, just a few, but of some folks actually moving barricades. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Those barricades are there for a reason. For road closures, go to, if you're trying to find out what roads are closed, go to goky.ky.gov. You can find it there. Governor mentioned some good news in those 538 closures include, though, that our interstates, Western Kentucky Parkway, that was closed, is reopened in Ohio, and I-65 in LaRue County reopened. Now, we do still have a number of our major roads that are closed. Let me make another point, and then I'll turn it back over to the governor. Our licensing offices, along with state offices today, are closed. Our in-person offices, they will be, your appointments will be rescheduled. And so please take advantage of that. And please take advantage of going online for renewals. Governor?
And just to end that point, if you go online for renewals, if you'll go see an optometrist to get your eyes checked, then you can skip all those lines that we right now have at our DMVs. I want to finally give a big thank you, which I should have done, to President Donald Trump, as well as Secretary Noem, for getting this disaster declaration through so quickly. Those that follow me know I've had a number of differences of opinion on policies with this president, but in response to our natural disasters, he has been there every time. He's given us everything we need. His administration's been very responsive, and for that I'm grateful. If you're going to criticize on some things, you got to give credit where credit is due. I also want to thank FEMA for being here. The way that they have operated after the February floods in eastern Kentucky is some of the best that I've ever seen, both in the emergency response and in the individual assistance. And I say thank you to both President Trump, Secretary Noem, and FEMA for that, because we're going to be applying for individual assistance as well as public assistance here. We're going to need those people to stay in the Commonwealth, and they are doing some of the best work that I've seen. And with 14 federally declared disasters since I became governor 5.5 years ago, we have a lot of context to base those comparisons on. So thank you to everybody from FEMA that I know you left your families to be here in the Commonwealth with us. And for many of you, this is the third, fourth, or fifth time. Feel free to pay taxes. Stay in our Commonwealth. But no, we're really grateful that you all are here. With that, we have 8 journalists on the line. We'll take one question from each so everybody can get back to doing this hard work. We'll start with Stan Ingold from WEKU.
Thank you. The mayor of Carrollton put out a Facebook Live video on Sunday saying that he got word from state emergency management about 10 gates at the Dix Dam being accidentally opened. And he has since apologized and said there was miscommunication. But, he was urging people all along the Kentucky River corridor to evacuate. Where did this information come from that he had received? And how do you prevent something like this from happening and causing people to panic?
Yeah, we're working to get to the bottom of this one. I think KU has said they were operating under their plan, but we need to make sure that we're all operating under one plan that benefits every single community that can be impacted. So one of the things that we're going to need to do through emergency management here is sit down and have a conversation with KU to make sure that there is direct communication about how many of those gates are being opened and about what the potential impact can be. That's one area where we need to do better. And on the communication side, we need to do better. But let me tell you, the mayor of Carrollton was only operating under trying to help his people and others the best he could. This has happened to me at different times. You get information in an emergency and you try to push it out. It's not always accurate, though you wish it was. But if you're always erring on the side of protecting people, which I think he most certainly was, that's the way we always want to err. But we always learn at least one area that we need to take that next step and that next step. And so with that dam and those locks, especially ones that aren't directly under federal or state supervision, we're going to need a more direct relationship in the future. Tom Latek from Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning. There has been talk about refurbishing the upper locks on the Kentucky River, which may serve to mitigate any future flooding in Frankfort and downstream. Would you be interested in having the General Assembly provide funding to take care of the rest of the locks, since only 1 through 4 were?
Well, I'm certainly interested in learning more. I mean, since I've been governor, we've been hit 14 times by a weather system so bad they became a federally declared disaster. And I wish I could tell people that we're going to get a break, but it doesn't look like we are. It looks like at least our near-term future is we've got to build our infrastructure stronger and stronger and stronger. So when things like this happen, it doesn't threaten the city of Frankfort or the other cities that have been hit. And so whether that's improved locks, whether that's looking at the flood walls that we have, we just know we've got to do more. That's why in this General Assembly, I came with a plan on how we could have that intermediate housing up and running faster. It was pretty small. It was just about $5 million, and we could have had about 10 sites around the Commonwealth ready for us to bring the travel trailers immediately in, because there are areas like Frankfort that don't have a state park close. As we've looked at the sheltering, the General Assembly decided not to do that. I certainly hope in the next session that they will see the need to always do a little better and to be better prepared, because in every session, Tom, we ought to be looking at what's the next step, given that every time the national news says, hey, there's a major weather system hitting the United States, it's always over Kentucky right now. Two other thank yous that I forgot. The National Weather Service is a critical service to the entire United States. They're the reason we were able to prepare for this. They were who gave us the modeling about what could have happened here in Frankfort. They're the reason that we were sandbagging the different areas that were done. I mean, they saved countless numbers of lives, and I couldn't disagree with the cuts there more. I mean, we need all of these people. They saved so many lives. And then to the meteorologists with every organization, with every news agency, with every station across the state. You do an incredible job. You're so important. Keep it up. I know you stay up through the night giving people information, but as I was sitting in the basement with my kids, what was it, Wednesday night, when all those tornadoes and storms were going through, you were who I was listening to, so keep up the good work. All right, Karen Czar, WUKY.
Thank you, Governor. Governor, do we have a total count of the amount of swift water rescues that have been done since this event began, and what states are assisting with those? Thank you.
For states, I'll turn it over to Director Gibson. It's a number, and I'm not sure we have the total yet because there are so many across the entire state. So that number's easier when it's just one region, which you never want just one region to hit. But we've got swift water rescues going on in Graves County and going on in Powell County all at the same time, which shows you what a statewide event this was. Director?
I'll be glad to try to answer it the best we possibly can at this time. Of course, the local agencies have been so hard at it, and they haven't stopped to even send up their numbers at this point. Mostly what we can track at this point are what those teams that we brought in have reported back to us. The numbers that I have for rescues just from those federal and state teams that we invited or requested to come help us, 140 rescues, 199 evacuations, 86 animals, and they've contacted 522 people across numerous counties. So that's just a brief number, but that won't touch what's been done by your local fire departments, your local rescue squads, and those individuals there that have been in your communities helping. And we'll hope to capture some of those numbers because they're very valuable to us to understand the real need across the entire Commonwealth, but it takes some time to get those numbers in, and I definitely don't want them to stop operations to do some reporting numbers to us. So as they get back to their stations and they start to do their after-action reviews, We would love to hear how many rescues or evacuations they participated in as just a measure of how we can talk about how Kentucky can better prepare for that next event. So absolutely, thank you for the
states helping us.
and the other states that are helping us. Absolutely.
Right. What the
Oh,
different states?
Oh,
that
I
are in.
apologize. Yes, we had Vermont come in. We've had Georgia come in. We've had North Carolina come in. We have a Virginia task force in, and we've had a, who am I forgetting? There's one. And Maryland's team come in. I apologize if I missed anyone. And then, of course, we moved teams under the USAR task force. We moved teams from Lexington and Louisville down in to help. And then we also know that the Taylor County team down from Campbellsville moved around their general area, helping during the initial rain that come in on Wednesday night, and they were very helpful there as well. So many teams.
All right, Isaiah Kim Martinez.
Hi, Governor. Can you say in Frankfort how many people have been evacuated as a result of this, and when can they return home?
Let me turn it over to our Franklin County and Frankfort officials.
I don't know if we have an exact number currently. You know, I think I've heard that 100 number throw around. We are working on that right now. There's a lot of areas where people were advised to evacuate just to be precautious, and they're wanting to get back ASAP. So like the mayor stated earlier, you know, we have done an inspection of the levee wall. We're going to just kind of ease back into it and start identifying in the next couple hours what areas are safe to go back in. But for the vast majority of everybody, you know, that was very affected by the flooding, especially along the river and in certain neighborhoods, you know, it could be Thursday. So we're still being very cautious, so we don't have any fatalities or anyone else get hurt. Thank you.
Following up on that, the capital city being a river city, a lot of the people that live in these affected areas, they understand the impact that the water level rise will have on their homes or their business. So many people self-evacuated without the city's encouragement. So we don't have a number on that. So, but we did, right now we are currently sheltering fewer than 50 people. We have capacity for more. And as far as going back into their homes, I'm sure there are people out there who look at their streets and maybe they don't see water. Their homes they're not underwater right now. They want to get back, but just know that we are testing the water, the flood wall to make sure that there are no impacts there that we need to be concerned about. And once we fully understand that, we'll make it clear to everyone and we'll get it out there on social media. We'll do some videos. We'll make sure you know when it's safe to get back into your homes.
All I'd add is that while as governor and lieutenant governor, we're there for every community that's been hit. The lieutenant governor and I live here. We both live in Frankfort. We're both conserving water like we're asking everybody else to do right now. This is very personal to us, and we're going to make sure that everybody in this city, as well as others that have been impacted, can get back up on their feet and that we can move forward. Asher Red. Okay, Carolina.
Hi, Governor. You said that the levees in Frankfort are holding. I want to ask you in general about Kentucky's flooding infrastructure. Was there concern about levees, dams, and stuff like that across the state failing during this emergency? Did we come close? Were there tense moments?
There were certainly some tense moments all across the Commonwealth. When people think about dams that stop water, you think about the big ones. What you don't think about are some of the roads with the earthen dams that keep water from flowing, that keep rivers and streams from overflowing. Whether the one that we've talked about a lot over the years, Panbowl in Breathitt County, and what happens if that fails and the work that we're doing it. So there were different infrastructure like that across the Commonwealth that we were getting different reports in. But for the most part, everything is held. That doesn't mean we don't go back now and look at every single one of them, knowing that while this was the most water since 1978 that Franklin County has gotten, we're having something like that every couple months in the Commonwealth. So we've just got to prepare for worst case scenarios, knowing that they're coming and needing the infrastructure to be strong enough to withstand it. Gil McClanahan, our final question. Okay, we'll catch up with
Can you hear me?
Gil at a.
Wait,
Nope, I can hear you.
me?
Yes.
All right, all right. You had said earlier that there were 538 roadways closed that were either under water or they were closed. Would you take me through the process of how do you get the money to the counties to fix these areas, and about how long does that usually take?
Yeah, so that 500 plus number of closed roads are just state roads. So then think about county and city roads across the Commonwealth and how much those add up. So there is a huge amount of work to be done. How long it takes to get them open depends on what the issue is. If it is a rock or a mudslide caused by the saturation, it's getting the heavy equipment out there, getting it cleared off, but then making sure it's stable, because you don't want cars traveling if we think that that's going to happen imminently again. If it's water, we got to wait. We got to wait for it to go down, and you just got to give it that time, and that's why those barriers are so important. So we'll continue to give updates, but anybody who lives in an area that got some of this flooding really should check that website before you travel to know the direction you need to go to. And remember, if you approach that water, even if you're stressed about that thing you need to be at, turn around. Call whoever it is you were supposed to see, reschedule, let them know you got to go a different direction and it's going to take longer. But, you know, we've lost 2 people, including a child, and we just don't want to lose anybody else. And it's that decision to not drive through that water that helps make sure we all get through this and get through it together. Thank you to everybody for watching. We'll continue to provide updates throughout the day on social media and other means. Thanks to all the leaders behind me, but thanks to everybody in this EOC and in every single county that's working to protect our people. Thanks.